Westcast.
Now fix to start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day. The goods from the wood.
Hot damn.
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
Pat Riley.
This is a good night, man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
And today we're joined by our two special guests who just moved to Los Angeles recently. So today's theme is Fish Out of Water, which is the title of the new show with these gentlemen.
DJ Lewis.
And Drew Morgan.
Yay! Yeah. Thank you for coming on, fellas. So you had your first show earlier in the week at Flappers in Burbank, which I believe guards a hellmouth. But you were nice enough to have me on the show, and it was a lot of fun.
You were a lot of fun, dude. I really was very, very
Pleased.
Yeah, I was pleased. Yeah.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
We had no idea what we were getting into, you know what I mean? But like I was saying to these guys beforehand, they were like, how you know Rivers? I just hit up two people who I knew someone in L.A., and your name was on both their lists. So
Oh,
I
wow.
thought, well, that's a good vote, you know what I mean?
That works. So where are you from originally?
Chickamauga, Georgia.
All right. It's the Battle of Chickamauga.
Bet.
The only battle Confederacy won in the West.
Yeah.
Where is Chickamauga, like, geographically in Georgia?
Probably about 30 minutes away from, it's North Georgia, about 30 minutes away from Tennessee.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. And probably about another 30 minutes from Alabama. It's right in the asshole of the South.
Yeah, it is. That's a pretty rough area.
It's an Indian word that means asshole in the South.
Yeah, it does. It literally means, where the fuck are we? Let's get the fuck out of here. You know what's so crazy, though, man, is like, I do jokes about the hometown and stuff, and I'll have people come up to me after shows and be like, Chickamauga, is that an Indian word? As if some bitch was just to come off that with the top of her head. Like, Mr. and Mrs. Chickamauga were looking.
Italian.
Yeah, you're right.
Johnny Chickamauga built the highway there.
The Baron of Chickamauga in Britain, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Big river of death.
Yes, that's River of Death.
There's some Civil War buffs going on in here.
My birthday is the anniversary of Chickamauga, or one of the 3 days of Chickamauga.
Yeah?
September 20.
Have you ever been down there?
Not to that one. I've been to Lookout Mountain. I've been to all the ones in Virginia.
Oh, Lookout Mountain. Like, you literally just go down the mountain and you're in Chickamauga.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I figured they was close, but I was with my cousin, and she only took me to Lookout Mountain.
Well, what the fuck?
I never liked her.
Yeah, me neither.
She's not so. She took me to Atlanta Cyclorama. That's always fun. And the zoo where they have the ghost gator and all that.
Y'all know Willie B?
Well, hold on. It looks like Willie B died, so this is definitely definitely breaking news on this program.
Yeah, I think we talked about Willie B at some point. Didn't we?
My friend, my friend went when he was like in second grade to Zoo Atlanta for a field trip, and they went in front of that little glass area right in front of the gorilla enclosure. And Willie B just kind of walked up to them and looked at them, just like surveyed all these 7-year-olds, and grabbed this one gorilla like a basketball. Pulled the gorilla over and just started violently having sex with the gorilla in front of these 7-year-olds. Just like
Learning about the birds and the bees in the most violent,
through Willie B.
fucked up way imaginable.
I'd imagine Williams B. Hartsfield did the same stuff when he was mayor, but
No, the gorillas are lucky because they can fling shit and have sex in front of 7-year-olds, and they don't get arrested, but I try it.
DJ, when did you leave Chickamauga, and where did you go?
I went to prison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Improvement.
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
you moved to Atlanta?
Yeah, right. Yeah, South Georgia. Did this time in the penitentiary. And then I got out, decided to be a comedian because apparently I hadn't suffered enough. So now here we are. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
were you in the prison that Al Capone was in, or was it one of the other prisons around Atlanta?
No, I was in like a high max facility in South Georgia, kind of just like shoved away from the world. One of the prisons that I was in, Reedsville is where they did the original Longest Yard. And that was pretty cool, man, because there's pictures of Burt Reynolds on it.
Stick this in your trophy case.
Do you want to talk about how you what happened?
What? Oh, how I got to prison? Oh, I mean, like, it was just a robbery. And literally, dude, it's so weird, dude. Long story short, like, armed robbery charge, you know.
Yeah.
I was an idiot, and you're not supposed to do that. And,
Right.
yeah, I don't have, like, any kind of story about, you know, how...
As your attorney, I advise you to stop talking.
Yeah.
About this. No, I'm just kidding around. He just showed up at one. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that's illegal.
Yeah. You can't just be hanging out at robberies. So, yeah. Hey, is Tim in here? No? What you guys doing?
And how long were you in?
About 9.5 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, almost a decade. Yeah. Yeah, when I was 16.
Did you just say Jesus-y Weezus?
I did say Jesus.
That is technically blasphemy. Right?
That's a deep cut from the Daily Show right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a super fun word.
It's great.
DJ said anal sphincter on the Daily Show.
Yeah, I did say anal sphincter on the Daily Show.
They
Said
came to
butt chugging.
Chickamauga to talk about the drought.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where the Tennessee and Georgia was fighting over water, or are fighting over water.
Oh, that was recently.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yes, it's gotten so bad they refuse to see each other as human.
You know what they do down there?
What's that?
Butt chug.
What's that? What's a butt chug?
Butt chug. They go out and they funnel different kind of beers and with their sphincters and their rectums.
So in Georgia, beer goes in the mouth, and in Tennessee, beer goes in the
anus.
Wow.
Yeah. My claim to fame.
Wow. I'm gonna
the butt chugging.
The butt chugging dude. Fuck.
So oh my God, 9 years is so goddamn long.
Yeah.
That's no damn joke. You was lawyer?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I guess I still am technically. Yeah.
When you was lawyer when he got 9 years?
Oh no!
Okay,
No! I think I was 14 when he got 9 years. I might have been 12 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'd have been his lawyer, he'd have got like 4 years.
But it would have been a really heartwarming family movie.
Right?
I object, Your Honor. We can't have a kid in the court. This is madness.
I got a big floppy suit on, you know, the briefcase.
I'm a real lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's no joke though. 9 years, was that like the full sentence, or did you get off with good behavior? Or
Man,
something?
dude, it is a story that, like, fuck, dude. Like, I actually got a 20-year sentence, and fucking went in there, and I was a maniac. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't help I could have probably got out in 3 years, but goddamn, to be honest with you, I didn't need to get out in 3 years. Like, I needed to do that 9.5 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I needed to do it, man.
Some people go to the army, others go to prison. Not a hell of a lot of difference, except the benefits
Right.
you get.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, and and I talk a lot about it in my act and everything, is like, basically, man, you got to take responsibility for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And like, as far as like what a prison is, there's so many different forms of, you know, it's not limited to fences. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you know, just because you have liberal movement doesn't mean you're free.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, you know, so I had time to go in there and get my shit together, you know, so get my head together, grow up, read a lot, wrote. And, dude, I couldn't have, there was nothing that's better that's ever happened to me. It was the best thing. It saved my life. It did. Praise Jesus. What? Weezus. Jesus Weezus.
Jesus, did you, while you were in there, decide you wanted to do comedy, or did that happen
My
afterwards?
father was a comedian.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Okay. And
now we know why he went to prison.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we were saying about looking for that apartment when that guy said, like, dude, comics, god damn, like you love it. It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, tell that story. I think that's hilarious.
So we got here and we were looking for a place to stay. DJ got a phone call from a Scottish comic. And that's what he said he was anyway. And he's like, yeah, we got this room or whatever. And we rock up. We get buzzed in. No one says anything. We just hit the buzz. They don't say hello. They buzz us right up. And we go. And we knock on the door. And this very tall, seemingly angry black gentleman answers and goes, sup?
They just stares at us.
And we're like, you know, we think that people are expecting us. And DJ, you know, is like, we're here about the room. Is there a room? And he goes, nah. And I said, well, are you a comic? And he goes, nah. And we said, do you know Carl? Because that was the name of the quote-unquote comic. And he said, nope.
Where was this building? A John Landis movie? Like, that's
Yeah. We just, okay, and we left. Call Carl back, and he says that's the wrong guy. I go back and see my friend Chase. Chase comes to the door. A younger, much more jovial,
So you go back
happy
to the same place.
black gentleman answers. This is Chase. Chase welcomes us in. Well, before he welcomes us in, we hear the tall dude, whose name I don't know, saying that these two white boys are back. Drawers are slamming. Toilets are flushing.
Like, we can hear people, like, fucking getting rid of shit.
So we're like, well, they think we're the weirdest buddy cop movie of all time, and we're here for their drugs or whatever. They let us in, and the dude's like, well, there's the space, and it was like a partitioned living room, kind of what we expected, except we peeked around the corner, we thought it was going to be a futon. It was a love seat, which that was weird, and I was like, man, maybe we can get an air mattress or something. And he goes, well, here's one problem. Those two girls, and he points at these two really obese
Very
ladies.
Very large.
And I pointed out because they're living on a fucking love seat
in a corner.
Just
Maybe they broke everything else.
they broke the futon. He says, well, they already live here. I'm sorry. I don't know what Erica was thinking. DJ says,
who the fuck is Erica? Where the fuck did Erica come in here?
We have no idea who. And then he says, well, you guys can live on the balcony. We might have done, but we looked out there, and the first gentleman that answered the door, that was his spot. I ain't been to prison. I wanted to be nowhere near that dude.
He already lived on the balcony.
Yeah. It was weird, you know. And the weirdest thing is I just don't know what Carl's angle was there. Like, he was going to trick us into
Carl
what,
ever
living in a sink?
It was like, yeah.
Carl, even a real dude.
Did he ever materialize? Like,
no,
is he a real...
no, he used quote on the road. But see, we look back on it, and DJ remembered. He said he was a comic after he found out DJ was a comic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Pat, did you move here straight from Atlanta?
No, I didn't. I moved here from Florida because I was there for a short time.
Oh, okay.
In between, but
Kicking it with the folks?
yeah. The thing was that LA wasn't too tough to get an apartment in because I could get it through the university.
Yeah.
But when I moved to New York, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I was crashing on my friend's couch, and I had no idea of how to get anywhere. Like, I didn't live in New York before.
Yeah.
I wasn't used to New York. I wasn't used to that size. I wasn't used to a subway system. I didn't know where anything was. So I was just completely confused as to where to live.
Yeah.
And I ended up my friend lived in this building called McKibben Lofts, which is like reconfigured textile warehouse where they just put a bunch of hipster lofts. Right? And it's so badly put together that they always get overrun with bed bugs. One time the building exploded. The building exploded because they used the floor varnish that going off of the furnaces. It just led to an explosion.
They were just spreading diesel around.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, they were putting. Yeah, exactly.
Where was that at? Like what borough?
It's on. It's in East Williamsburg off the Morgan stop on the hill.
Yeah.
So it's right by Kings County and stuff like that.
There's a good show down there. I think it's at Pine Box Rock Shop.
Yeah, that wasn't even there when I was there. Because when I lived there, it was right before they put in. They had one pretentious coffee shop / art house movie rental place, and everything else that was already there.
No, I was confused about what. No, I remember the Morgan. That's where I played basketball. It's still a shithole.
Oh yeah.
Nothing changed.
Yeah, nothing changed.
So I ended up getting an apartment 3 doors down. Because it was somebody that was there. Yeah, the band. 3 doors down apartment when they were on tour. Yeah.
You think those guys could afford something you couldn't?
I know.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're making U.S. Army commercial
you think
money,
those residuals from Army, the WWE, any sort of venue that uses butt rock as a way of pulling people in. That 3 doors down is the way to go. Yeah,
I just
that
imagine
Godsmack.
See, I just figured they just live on the USS Abraham Lincoln. That's right.
They live on the Intrepid.
They have an apartment that just hangs off the back of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
So I move into this place and it's fine, and it was one of those things where it was this girl Casey and this guy Eric. Eric was never there because he would always stay at his boyfriend's place. So the apartment was a place where he just stored his really expensive furniture because he was a producer at HBO. It was insane, you know. So I was there for a couple of days, and the one person that I remember the most from that place and dealing with all the time was the super. Manny. Super Manny. Of course.
If I go crazy, then will you still call me Super Manny?
He was actually from the Bronx. and he was this very large Puerto Rican guy. He was nuts.
Yeah.
Like, he was absolutely nuts. He would, like, have a racket of selling, like, broken air conditioners to people and stuff like that.
My super in New York has that same racket.
I know, it's insane. And he would just hang out all the time in his like little super closet, and he had like a microwave. Super closet. Yeah, he had a microwave.
Super closet, not as super as you would be.
Well, no, he had a microwave, 2 lazy boys,
okay,
and
that
a
is
bong,
take
a
that back.
giant bong.
Take that back. That's totally a super closet.
And he would just hang out there all the time. He's like, oh man, I got to get away from my old lady. And all these girls in this building are fine as hell. So I'm just going to hang out here and smoke weed. You know, just like...
And I think the universe named him Superman.
Yeah, exactly. But one time, I was outside with my friend, and Manny comes out and he's like, hey, you guys seen the mailman? I need to talk to that motherfucker. He's stealing my mail. Has he come yet? And we're like, no. He's like, I'm going to get that guy. Fuck him. I'm going to get him. So, like, one time, so he comes out with 3 of his friends who are progressively bigger. They're like Russian nesting dolls. Yeah. And the one was like, the last one had to be like, the last one was like, imagine if like Fat Joe or Big Punisher was 7 foot tall. And they came out and they were looking around.
Wait, were they wearing Adidas tracksuits?
No. They were wearing like, you know, just t-shirt and jeans. And Manny
just regular tracksuits.
Yeah. Manny came out with a samurai sword. He's like, I'm going to get this mailman. And I was just like, holy Christ, what have I moved into?
What was in the mail that was worth killing?
He was just messing with the mail.
Sword?
He was messing with the mailman. That's essentially what it was. It was just one of those things where they had a running sort of thing where they would just mess with each other. Yeah. Where like the mailman said, oh, Manny, I've been hiding your mail and stuff like that. And Manny just was like, oh, I'm going to, play along with it. But he just went way over the... way over. Above and beyond. Yeah, that place was horrible because they would have like parties. And they were like really... It was one of those places where it's like, if you had a trust fund and an unrealistic dream, you'd live there. So there were kids that had like... skateboard half pipes.
Oh, I think I've been there a million fucking times.
Yeah. Like there were like 8 or 10 like metal bands in there, and they would have parties, and there would just be like these dudes in like flannel shirts, just big beards, like they just got a band of horses, just girls that look like Kelly Osbourne for some reason, and they would just like guys would just be peeing in the hall, just cuz.
This is just like a really shitty version of Warhol's Factory.
Yeah, it was. That's what. The New York Times said it was like,
That's what Brooklyn is a shittier version of Andy Warhol's dreams.
Yeah, and it sounds a hell of a lot more fun than the Bronx. All I'd do there was pay $8 for cigarettes and go across the street and eat them Albanian meat pies. Nothing else to do.
Yeah, and the thing was that the people that lived around there were cool. Like I'd hang out at the bodega and stuff like that. The bodega guy was awesome. But, like, the people that lived in that building were annoying, and they would just make the people that lived there already mad. So there was already tension. They would just, like, go on the roof and throw, like, a TV off of the building and just leave it. It's just like, why? But the thing was that when I moved out, there was this thing where the FBI had to be called in because, there was, like, a hacking ring, right? So that was the first time the FBI got called in. The second time,
this place really did have everything.
Yeah, second time was these guys. I don't know where they were from. I don't know if they were local guys or whatever.
It seems like there's like 5 movies happening at.
That's what I was just thinking.
I was about to say there were 8 armed robberies there when I left because a guy would just come in and be like, hey, man, I got to check things out. And the people did not look through their peepholes, or they just left their doors unlocked because they didn't know that it was New York. And they would just bust in and just, like, armed to the teeth. And all these people that were in there just had tons of, like, computers and equipment to pursue their Trustafarian dreams. And they would just come out with just boatloads of stuff. I think one time they stole, like, $120,000 worth of computer equipment from some guy's apartment.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly,
God, it's like, it's seriously...
That place was terrible.
It's seriously like there's like a thriller on one floor, and then the second floor is a romantic comedy, and then the third floor is just like a fucking heist film.
And there were 2 buildings across the street from... I lived in the good one. I lived in the one that exploded. But the other one...
Which was the good one.
Yeah.
Which was the good one.
The other one would just get bed bugs all the time and just... disgusting. And they had a really bad coffee house on the bottom. And the thing that always annoyed me about it was that A, the coffee was bad. B, the people there sucked, and C, there was a guy that used to hang out right in front of it all the time, and he wore like a striped mime shirt, had a mustache, and played the accordion all the time. It's just like, why? Why?
That guy. Yeah.
Why are you here? You're making all my cigarette breaks annoying because you can't play the accordion.
I hope that guy's dead.
Marcel?
Now.
Yeah.
I hope he got shot in an armed robbery.
The armed robber stole his accordion.
Super Closet. That was my favorite movie that was going on in there. Super Closet.
Yeah, exactly. It was the sequel to Super Van.
Yeah. I think that was definitely the best movie for sure. I gotta say, like, I see how like the people there were horrible. But as far as like the experience, so you're saying that you live with metal bands who had half pipes in their apartment, threw parties all the time, and chucked shit off the fucking roof? Like at least for a week or two, that was good, right?
But the people that lived there were so annoying that
You
they
just couldn't handle it?
Those things couldn't compensate for that.
I've met
Like
those
that's
people.
how bad
I
they
can
were.
see
You
that.
could have metal bands, you could have a half pipe in your apartment, and you are still jerky enough that you cannot compensate for that with your cool stuff.
Is this the apartment from Big, where he's got the trampoline? That's what
they were going
That's
for.
what I'm picturing.
That's
is
what
the
they were
trampoline.
going for.
Yeah, and the Pepsi machine and all that shit. Yeah.
Just like so much bad like graffiti on the walls. Just like you walk into every apartment and it just looks like the blooper reel from Banksy. Just like really bad. Just oh god, terrible. The worst. The absolute worst.
I want to take like all my in-laws and people from back home who are like, America's the greatest country in the whole world, into a place like that and just be like, this is what fucking
This is what
America
it looks
has
like.
done.
Yeah.
To paraphrase Will Weldon, look at it!
Because that's probably the America they don't like. You know, like if it was somebody around here, you would take them down to like, you know, Mississippi to be like, yeah, this is how crappy America can be.
Although I will say the thrill of taking British people to the Dolby Theater. I'm a tour guide, that's my day job, and I always like to take British people to the Dolby Theater and kind of sneak them through the candy shop so we can just come out right in front of it. So I can say the closest thing we have to a royal ceremony in America is the Oscars, and it's held here in a shopping mall. So then they get to see the real heart of darkness because they see the shit on TV and they don't realize they cover it up with curtains and shit and make it look nice. Yeah, but it's totally in the middle of a shopping mall. So, you know, I like showing the dark heart as much as I can.
Yeah, and all the whole time, you know, you have all the just weirdos in the superhero outfits. You got the creepy guy in the Elmo outfit.
Oh, God.
My favorite one.
Dirty Spider-Man.
My
dirty
favorite one was
SpongeBob.
that there was Jules Winfield. And
Yeah,
the
he's
guy,
awesome.
And the guy actually, well, it might not be the same one that I'm talking about. He looks just like Samuel L.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like a younger version of Samuel L. in that role.
Yeah.
He looks just like him, but he has a high-pitched voice.
Oh, really? I've
So
never
when he
heard him talk.
delivers like the sermon, the Ezekiel 25:17,
yeah.
it's just like, the path of the righteous man. It's just like,
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
My favorite is Mr. Muscles.
oh yeah.
Have you seen that guy? There's just a guy who wanders around Hollywood Boulevard in a tank top that says Mr. Muscles going, Mr. Muscles!
Just ask for money.
Anybody need a picture with Mr. Muscles?
I can do that with Mr. Goodnight.
You should.
Just give me a tank down there. I don't need a picture of Mr. Goodnight.
Mr. Goodnight, Daddy. Who needs a picture?
Yeah, that'd be good. I should do that.
I think we could film that.
Well, man, the ladies take the picture of me as it is.
To go back to the Superman-y, by the way, has anybody ever had like an experience where someone wielded a samurai sword that wasn't just the fucking strangest shit ever? Like if you come to a
Not
point,
living in like Edo period Japan,
Right.
I don't see a lot of wielded samurai sword.
We got a buddy. His name is Jables. He lives in Alpharetta, Georgia, and he's probably one of the most read individuals, just as far as like being just a country boy. He is, and he works in a warehouse packaging swords. The Summit knows everything about swords that there is to know about him, man, and it's so cool, like talking to him about it because he's got this whole, you know. Well, I'll tell you, buddy. I'll tell you one thing about swords. Now you can get you a sword. You can come down here. I'll show you. Look, now you see that blade right there. Now that's man, and just go off like you want a serrated edge. Now maybe you do, but buddy, let me
does
tell
he know
you
like
the
all
situation?
does he know all like the Japanese names for all
Oh, yeah,
all the blades and shit?
Mune and all that shit.
But it comes out Masamune.
Does he package them for the shop at home when they sell like the samurai swords and the pocket knives and all that shit?
Man, I don't know how, and I don't know what they do, or I just know that this big redneck bearded motherfucker just works in a warehouse. Yeah, basically packaging swords.
I am from Tennessee, a little tiny town near Knoxville, and I started doing comedy in Florida, but I wasn't there very long. I started doing comedy hardcore, I guess, in Knoxville. I met him in Chattanooga.
What town outside of Knoxville?
It's called Sunbright, Tennessee. Population 600. I graduated high school with 43 people.
Wow.
Yeah, the middle of nowhere.
I had a friend from 10 Mile, and it was a similar sort of situation.
I know where 10 Mile is. Yeah.
They got a good bluegrass festival up there.
Crazy how close that is to where I'm from. I was a public defender for a little while. If y'all don't know what that is, a lot of people think that that's the guy who puts people in jail. I get that a lot, and it's the other guy. If you can't afford a lawyer, it won't be provided to you.
Right, that's you.
Yeah. I did that for a while. I hated the job. I loved the idea of it. I loved the work I was doing, but it just was killing me. And fell in love with comedy. It's really hard to like have a hobby in that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You got a dude, you're talking to him about, like he's facing 20 years, but the DA's willing to cut it down to 10 years if he'll rat on the only dude that's ever been loyal to him in his whole fucking life. And you're just like, so that's what's up, man. What do you think of this dick joke? Like I had to give up comedy or that, and I gave that up and moved to New York. And that's where I'm at now. I did come out here with him to help start this show. I probably will come back, but I'm sort of based in New York now. I actually live in Harlem.
And when you got to New York, what was your living situation and
so,
stuff like that?
Well, my wife went up first, but when she did, we were trying to save money. She was subletting and trying to find jobs in apartments. I was still working at the public defender's office, but I was living with my dog in an RV at this little like redneck RV place. And I can't.
What is it? What's the
KOA?
KOA, there we go, yeah.
Yeah, KOA. KOA is to the campground I was at as Target is to, like, some fucking bodega where no one speaks English.
Oh, okay, yeah.
KOA is corporate America's version of a campground. No. Like, I was...
Like you take guns in them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, here's an awesome... No one knew I was a lawyer there for a while, which was good, because when they found out, they all wanted advice, because they all had problems. But before that, the reason they didn't know is I would get up and go to work every morning in my suit, but I drove a hoopty, like a 1985 Cutlass Sierra with like...
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And
I think my parents had that.
They
when
would
I was
be
a
like,
kid.
where are you going? And I would say to court, and they would just be like, oh, like he's in trouble again.
Again, every day.
Yeah. And then they finally figured it out, and they all wanted advice or whatever.
We're going to court. That's awesome.
So I did that, and I was living in an RV, and that was interesting. When I got to New York, we did have an apartment, but we live in Harlem. Our super, his name is Jerry. I hope he's listening. I hope he dies. Fuck you, Jerry. Jerry was nice at first. He is nice until he needs to do something. There was like So pretty quickly there was a leak in my roof, and he said he couldn't take care of it until the springtime came because the snow wasn't melted. And I was like, well, I guess that makes sense, and if it's fine right now, it's just a little leak. That developed into a big leak. It turns out Jerry was lying. The leak wasn't even on the roof. It was like in the side of the building, so he just didn't want to do the work. They had to cut a hole in my roof, and then I had to have this conversation with the landlord where Jerry had come by and was like kind of nice, was trying to fix it, then left a mess. My wife got home from work. There was a mess. It was like there were dust everywhere. There was mud. It was gross. And she called him and was like, "Why are you coming back? Why didn't you clean up?" And he was really, really rude to her. He left her a voicemail. He called back and told her to tell her boyfriend, even though we're married, that I better not come down there and talk to him because he was in a bad mood and all this stuff. And I had to have that conversation with my landlord. And he goes, "Well, I just don't know. Jerry's usually so nice, and I don't know why he was so nice in the morning and then so rude to her in the afternoon. What changed?" Like trying to like hint at we had pissed him off. And I was just like, you really don't know? Like, he starts drinking every day at about 10:30 a.m. Yeah. Like, he was in a good mood because he caught a buzz the first time we talked to him, and then he was coming down in the afternoon, Had a big hole in my apartment, just a huge hole in the roof. Like, it didn't go up to the sky, but it went up into asbestos probably. And we still live there.
I think everybody's first friends you make wherever you move, they usually never stick, and they're always like, there's always something wrong where you're like, oh, I should probably get some new friends.
Well, I mean, like, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like every time I've ever moved, I've had before I started comedy. When you start comedy, it's real fucking easy to meet friends really fast, which is why being a comedian is the best, because you move and you're like, oh, that dude's funny, I can hang out with him. We have the same, everybody talks about themselves all the time, so you're like, know exactly what everybody's interests are. But if you're not a comedian, you move somewhere, it's just like, who wants to hang out? So you just end up with hanging out with weird people.
Well, I was a comic when I got there. That was actually tough because in New York, everyone's just sort of like sizing you up all the time. They all pride themselves on like, how not hack they are or whatever. So they have to like vet you for a few months.
Which becomes a hack.
Exactly.
Were you a comic when you got to Knoxville?
Yeah. Well, I was an open micer when I got to Knoxville.
Okay, gotcha.
And I became a comic in Knoxville, and then I moved to New
Gotcha.
York. But anyway, one of my friends goes to school up there. One of my closest friends. But I was working at Trader Joe's.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, man, you have no idea because it's so weird. It's such like a socioeconomic lesson too. For a lot of people, it was like actors and comedians and singers and whatnot.
Was it the Harlem Trader Joe's, or was it the one on in
72nd? It was the one on Broadway. And most people that worked there were like me, like, you know, just trying to support some sort of dream. But then there were a lot of people who would come in from the Bronx and Brooklyn. This was a really good job to them.
Right.
And they had a very different view of like the world and how things should work there. And you're just talking about weird people, man. So many people just assumed that I was going to be famous or that I was famous because like I had a show that weekend, and they would just like ask for my autograph and stuff, and I'm like,
God, dude, really?
I work at Trader Joe's with you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like a minute ago, this lady yelled at me about the line being too long and why we didn't have anything on sale. And
why don't you sell cigarettes here?
Exactly. You saw that happen. So that was a strange experience for sure.
That was probably the hardest thing with me, like when I was still on parole, is like
people yelling at you in the grocery store.
Well, yeah, because I had to have a job.
Parole is easy,
like,
kids. If you're listening out there, parole ain't shit.
Oh no, that parole ain't shit. I mean, no. It's a lot harder to have a job and have old ladies fucking yell at you all day than it is to piss in a cup, man.
Oh, because you have to take it.
See, yeah, you have to take it.
Right.
And not only that, it's like I was like traveling, you know what I'm saying? And I was like doing all this shit. You know, you're a fucking rock star on the weekend, and then come Monday morning, here's this blue hair, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Talking shit about your tattoos and shit, and like, you know, this boss up your ass about some bullshit that you don't even give a fuck about.
Yeah.
But I had to, you know, it was holding me back from being able to further my career in comedy. But I was still traveling. I guess I was a fugitive. I suppose I wasn't supposed to leave the state.
Once again, as your attorney, let me just chime in here. He was traveling throughout the state of Georgia. He never left the state of Georgia. All of the shows were in the state of Georgia.
Yes.
My freshman year of college, I went to a very small liberal arts school outside of Birmingham called Montevallo. And when you move to Montevallo, it's like, oh, who do you want to hang out with, the goth kids or the emo kids? Like, that's your choice. So I just like hung out with whoever I kind of like was in classes with. I was like, oh, this dude seems cool. So the two guys I met, there was one guy named Chris who we had this English class together, and he could not fucking write a paper to save his life. So we had one of those like things where we broke up into groups and like edited each other's work. And I was reading his stuff, and I was just like, this is like incomprehensible. I can't even. But he seemed like a cool dude, and he was like, yeah, man, you want to like fucking play some video games and shit and help me write this paper? I was like, yeah, sure. And I went over to his house, and he had thousands of pills, like thousands of fucking like
some shit
of every like oxycodone, like fucking.
He didn't need to be in college. He was an entrepreneur, man.
Yeah. And then he was telling me the story about how he sold. It sounds like such ridiculous bullshit, but he sold steroids to some guy who like broke a DA agent's neck or something, and he was like worried he was going to get wrapped up in it or something. He was like, yeah, man, the DA like broke the door down and he snapped his neck, and so now I'm like hoping he doesn't talk about me and shit when he's in court. I'm just like,
so was he a goth or an emo?
Yeah. No, he was one of neither. I don't know. So there was that guy, and then my favorite guy was this other dude. His name was David Goldstone, and he was
David Goldstone.
David Goldstone. I'll never forget it.
Man.
I went and hung out with that dude. He was in one of my science classes.
What did Goldstone do?
Okay, so he basically just sat. I mean,
was he on the ice cream place?
Goldstone Creamery.
Goldstone Creamery. Yeah.
Goldstone Steve Austin.
I think I hung out with him for once, and just
never forgot him.
Over the course of like 3. Over the course of
get the man in Showitz.
Listen, I just told y'all I'm from a town with 600 people in it. I don't know what the fuck that Southern man just said.
Manischewitz. Go Goldstone, Steve Austin.
He chugs Manischewitz.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I want to say this about Steve Austin real quick. Steve Austin, you'll spill in half the beer when you do that. That's not how you drink a beer.
Well, and you turn the other half to foam, too, when he smashes it together. That's how he drinks them so
You
fast.
don't get much beer that way.
Yeah, it's for the look. But, basically I went and hung out with this dude once, and over the course of, 3 hours, he just started spinning this insane web of bullshit that, started off with, it was like we were just going back and swapping stories and stuff. And it started off sort of believably, and by the end he talked about rigging up a toilet to explode in his high school. And he was like, this guy, he was like a real stupid kid, and we rigged up the toilet to blow up. And it exploded, and he rode a wave out into the hallway, and the principal saw him. He had a piece of shit on his head. It was this insane shit.
And there was a soundtrack playing.
Well, that's
we all got pussy.
Right. It was literally, and I didn't stop him because I was just I just want to see where this shit goes. So
it goes on your forehead. Weren't you listening?
Nobody was surprised Goldstone was full of shit by the end of the day.
So I just let him keep going, and the last thing he said was that he was like, I used to work for the Birmingham Barons, which is the minor league team in Birmingham, and he was like, we used to plant the sod in the outfield, and I used to drive the little Datsun pickup truck for the sod. And he was like, and one day we broke into the clubhouse and drank a bunch of Jack Daniels, and then opened the back gate and got a good head of steam on the Datsun. Hit the pitcher's mound, did a barrel roll, and the Datsun landed right side up on home plate.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there
playing bump and jump.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, this is fucking.
When you said the Birmingham Barons, I thought that somewhere Michael Jordan playing baseball was going to come into the picture.
No, that is the team he played for.
And then we jumped over off the pitcher's mound, and then
Michael Jordan
popped up
with the flu and swiped the. No, it was
Michael Jordan popped up out of a hole from home plate from Space Jam.
Yeah, he said one of the stories he told me was that his friend used to live on a golf course. And they used to see Don Siegelman, the governor of Alabama, golfing. So they used to fucking ride by on a golf cart and shoot the governor with a paintball. I'm like, you'd be fucking dead. They would kill you for that.
At what point in time? How?
You got to get him on the show.
Yeah, dude, I was going to say that guy really needs.
You are so horrible at your job if you don't get him on the show.
You gotta
fly his ass out here.
You gotta find David Goldstone and get him out here.
You know what? I do have a theory about that though, and this is something that's happened to me in college. It happened to me in law school. It happens to me with comics. I think that people get into this thing where they're the smartest in their friend group, and it ruins them for the future. I bet that kid could get all his friends in high school to just believe anything he said, and he's just had no idea that you were smart enough to know that flipping a Datsun on its, which is unfathomable.
Yeah, no, because if you've ever been in a Datsun, they don't go more than 60 miles an hour.
If you've ever been in the universe, you know how physics work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess that's the more important point. Yeah, but even him saying we got a good head of steam going. Also, a pitcher's mound is not inclined enough.
Yeah,
everything
there's
is
so
wrong.
many holes.
They raised it that year because they're getting too many hits.
Right.
Everything is wrong with the story. You can't just break into the clubhouse and the fucking
I feel like his name was like David Jones or whatever, and he's like, nah, Goldstone sounds
Goldstone.
better.
He went with Goldstone.
He's lying about everything.
Opted.
Yeah, and he put on some
Be a magician at some point.
yeah, exactly. He wears LeMay pants and shit. He's got some big ass Elvis sunglasses. His name was Robert Jones or something. He was like David Goldstone.
That's one thing, man. And we always get to that point where we always talk about I'll say something and somebody will say, huh? And I knew whatever the fuck was coming out of my mouth was just completely fucking pointless. And you don't want to repeat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no sense to repeat. It's just pollution is really what it is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, fuck it. You know what I mean? What did you do today? Took a shit.
But in that
drove a Datsun.
Yeah, we drove a Datsun.
Flipped a Datsun and
Shit before I came here.
Yeah, I mean, but what's wrong with that?
I was going to the bathroom and the toilet exploded and I rode a wave.
And he had a piece. That was my favorite part is that he had a piece of shit on his head.
Did he live in Teen Wolf?
Yeah, seriously.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
It's it was.
When I think of the shit on his head, you remember there was the Pokemon? And you remember there was a cat that had that little gold coin on his head like that?
Meowth.
Yeah, like a little piece of shit right on his forehead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
More as like a unicorn.
A unicorn turd,
like sticking straight out.
I was kind of thinking we needed to get David some help. Like, you guys are shitting on him, but he's dead now. Like, you're not gonna get him out.
He's one of those guys that like I think about that night a lot because there was. I mean, it literally was like 3 hours of like
I'm gonna think about this
crazy, impossible shit.
I mean, did you guys have any of those people? Like,
liars. I mean, people will just fucking lie about anything. People will lie just to fucking be talking. That's all the thing I was saying is like we don't fucking really need to communicate nearly as much as we fucking do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He says on a podcast. Law school was a good place for that, and there it was amazing too because what I was saying, it's like, why do you think that these people who got into law school are going to believe what you're saying right now? Like, you have people talking about, well, I was working for this senator, and he offered me $180,000 to go run his campaigns for him, and
the senator
blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
but I
senators don't make
decided,
$180,000.
I really wanted to go to law school because I was really going to get into like charity work or whatever the fuck. You're just like, what? Like, is this how you got laid at the shitty sorority, like where you came from? You're an idiot,
If you want to fix any conversation that goes down the wrong way, just bring up Sanford and Son. They could be out there babbling all they want. Oh, I was on a show, blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, you see Sanford and Son? You see the one? You see the one where Julio, measures the backyard, and it turns out he actually owns Fred's business and that shit.
And you say that's why I came to law school because of bullshit like that.
But I mean, like in anything, because what we talking about this. You're doing comedy, and all this stuff. You have so many conversations you don't want to have because
so many, dude. Just because you're sitting there, all day.
Do that so much that I can't get away with that in this town.
That's pretty much what it is.
That's a good rule.
Do you do that so much here that I can't get away with that in this town? Like people are gonna be like, you took that.
No.
Because I want to use it too. Yeah. I'm just gonna go watch reruns and just try to figure out my favorite and like just plots and like bring them up randomly in conversation.
That's the best thing to do because whenever you don't feel like listening to people talk about themselves, bring up a common interest. That's always how you steer conversations more into something you can deal with.
Well, we were talking about it earlier. Like people don't have conversations here. Yeah. They talk at you about things that they do.
That's true.
I guess
I'm afraid to get to know what common interests I have with David Glowstone. I don't want to know that.
What is on like a very, very deep psychological level? Like you guys really connect on a spiritual.
Well, man, when he was reiterating that story about the shit on the head, there were a lot of emotions I haven't felt in a few years going on.
I'm like, shit, man, you should write for cartoons or something.
No, it's like a cartoon thing. Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's just entertaining himself. Maybe we're the jackasses. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's just like, I can't believe this asshole's listening to this dumb shit. I'm fucking.
It's no joke at it.
It's on a podcast right now.
It's no joke at it. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes when people are born, you just got to entertain yourself. I've done it many times. That's why Sanford and Son comes in.
Yeah. I will bring up like obscure whatever, or just walk the fuck away. Like my fucks are so limited. You know what I'm saying? I have so many to give.
I like to ask him questions, make him keep going, act like I'm into it.
He does like to do that too.
I would be like, oh my god, what'd the principal say, dude?
Yeah, the lawyer in him.
You know what you should have done? You should have asked him for the security video. We could put that on YouTube. Dude, I can help you do that. Yeah. Let me give you my card. You know what? I'm out of cards, dude.
He is the long con champion. Drew is definitely he will long con with the best of them. He will reel them in.
Yeah.
And God. Yeah.
What was the best long con that you got someone in?
All right, my favorite one isn't mine, and by the way, a long con artist would never tell you his own.
Oh, okay.
But let me tell you what my dad did that cracks me up, and it's kind of sweet. It's not as mean as some of the other ones, but this is pretty artistic. He used to tell my mother, my mother gets bit by mosquitoes and he doesn't, and like I said, this one's goofy.
Vanilla candles.
Yeah, well, he would tell her that he didn't get bit by him because he had blue eyes, and that mosquitoes don't bite people with blue eyes. And it was just a stupid joke to him at first, but she believed it. So he kept going with it. And long story short, she would tell other people that in front of him for 15 years. And it was one of those where, like, when I was 8, I also thought it was true because my mom said it. And, like, at 12, I was like, wait a minute. And then my dad gave me this look like, come on, son, this is a big moment for us. You know what I mean? Like, you're forever going to be my boy? Or I'm writing you off right now. And I got quiet, you know. I was about 23. and my mother, we were camping, family thing, vacation, and my mom was saying it to some people from next door. She said, well, the boy's got blue eyes, and mosquitoes don't bother people with blue eyes as much. And as soon as it came out of her mouth, this look washed over her. And it was that look of realization, you know what I mean? And my mom's smart enough she laughed to kind of signal to them that she knew that like she was joking with them. She was so fucking pissed. She wouldn't talk to my dad for like 2 weeks. And my dad's not much of a laugh out loud kind of guy, but he was so pleased. Like he's like, I waited years for her to realize it so I could see that look on her face. You know what I mean?
That is perfect. That is execution. Like you'll never have that kind of execution.
But that's just like passive aggressive marriage. Like that's what you got to do to people that you've lived with for that long. You know what I mean? Like he loves her. He loves her more than anything in the world. But like this is what he has to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know for years we thought we had like some sort of Native American in us, and I'm sure we do. But it was because my grandfather couldn't grow a beard. So you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And like and it's like a grandmother to be like, well, your grandfather he goes back, and it comes back out. We don't have any Indian in us. My grandmother's just a racist. So
Trey, the guy that you had out on your show,
Trey Crowder,
his grandfather.
Sup, Trey?
Sup, Trey?
Good man.
Hope you're dead. His grandfather had his grandma convinced, and they were like reminiscing. His grandfather passed, unfortunately, and they were reminiscing, and his grandma goes, yeah, remember how he couldn't hear good? And that was true that he couldn't, like he had a little bit. And then she goes, yeah, he had this weird condition. He could only hear men talk. He just really couldn't hear women talk. I'd try to talk to him all the time. And Trey didn't know that he had told her that. And he was like, dude, I was so sad. It'd only been like a week since he passed away. He said he just ran around the house clapping, just like, yes! 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 Like, it's just like so much joy out of that.
So good night when you moved from the fourth dimension.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I came here. I was in Boston before I came here, but I came here. Like I say, I came here by accident. I did not come out here to find no kind of fortune or anything like that. I came out here just because my sister-in-law was going to UCLA at the time, and my brother said, "Why don't you come with us?" And I was bored as hell of living there, so I just came out here and I stayed on their couch and
on UCLA's campus.
No, not on the couch on a campus. At their place. They sublet at a place, and I just bounced back and forth because for a while I would just come out every now and again, and then eventually I just never got off their couch. Yeah, which is why they hate me so much, and it makes my life very difficult when I'm not doing this.
Because they know you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it near UCLA?
Yeah, it's actually not too far from here. It's on Sepulveda. Well, actually, originally they was in Playa del Rey. Which was a little bit off the map, but ever since then they've lived sort of in an area they call Palms, which is where I still live.
Right.
And so my story coming out here was simple like that. I didn't, comedy was just something I had started doing in Boston, and since I was out here, I was like, well, I'll do it here too. But it was never any kind of like, I'm going to LA to do this.
I'm so surprised. Because you just look like the most super fun guy that's ever been in the entire world. Yeah, no, man, you do. That was for sure. That's an interesting story.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, that's the thing. People love me, you understand, because I'll stay on your couch. I will stay on your couch, and I'm such a super fun guy. People let me stay on their couch a lot just because I'm entertaining. But
I can see it, dude. I can totally see it.
That's how I get by. I ain't from the Yiddish persuasion, but they used to call that a schnorrer, and that's what I do. You understand? That's how I get by, as being so super fun that let's bring him out here.
So you were already doing comedy, but did you have any weird temporary friends or anything like that?
The fun thing is I make friends real good. Everywhere I go, I make close friends. Like I come out here and meet Faso. If I've been gifted with one thing in life, it's I've always had good friends. Yeah. So I haven't had to deal with much of that temporary friend shit. Yeah. Most of the temporary friend shit, like you're talking about in life, was when I would go to school and I go to different schools, and there's that one guy in your class you talk to, and then you realize I don't really care about this guy, and you meet closer friends and shit. But But I know exactly what you're talking about. But I didn't have really many of them temporary friends like that. Anything out here. What the funny thing is, it's such a small world doing this shit that when I came out here, there was people I knew from comedy from Boston out here. Yeah. So when I started doing comedy here, I'd run into people all the time that I already knew or that knew me, and I didn't even recognize who they was and stuff. And I'd only been doing it for about a year.
Dude, it's crazy.
How long have you been out here?
I've been out here on and off for almost 5 years.
So, like, you look like the kind of guy who says yes a lot. So, like, you've got...
Well, I do to the ladies, you know that.
Well, like, I maybe romanticize it. You've got to have some like story about that, just like a total LA story or whatever.
Hell, man, my whole life is an LA story.
There you go.
Seriously, these days, I mean, hell. I broke the news. I already talked about this one here that Bin Laden died to gas a lounge. I mean, I would do things like go to Mexican rockabilly car shows and stuff like that. And,
That sounds awesome.
I mean, you know, that's what this is what I'm saying. That's why I like living out here. Is there's so many fun different things like that. Because for me, like, you know, when you do the comedy and all that shit, that's a pain in the ass. Because I miss things about like the camaraderie of doing it in Boston and shit like that. But just living out here, there's so many different fun, crazy shit that I can do. You know, fuck. Oh, man, I can't tell that story. But the point is, there's always something.
The point is, there's always something to do.
But what the hell is this? Oh, yeah, that's the thing. I find myself not doing comedy as often as I should because there's so much like adventures to get in life here. You know, getting high and going to Redondo Beach at night, claiming that you're on a holy quest and things like that.
We've still never done. I want to go to Redondo Beach because
we should
the
sometime get
subject.
high.
The subject comes up literally every episode. We talk about Goodnight's Adventures in Redondo. I've never been, and I want to go. Is
there a lot of
once.
DMT out here?
I don't know. I've never been.
I have to say, a lot of it will turn into somebody really high sitting on a bench reciting all the NWA champions and things like that.
That sounds great.
We go there and we talk about wrestling for like 5 hours at a time.
I'm down.
That's the way we live. You understand? Can I say this too? And I mean this in the most positive way, friend, DJ. But I mean this good, not like some nerd or some shit. But y'all look like Wolverine.
Yeah, man, I get it every day.
But you better than Wolverine.
You're damn
because
right.
let's face it, because Wolverine ain't that good. He calls people bub and shit like that.
Yeah.
Wolverine is not all that goddamn cool kid is. I got news for you. I grew up in the 80s. We had Optimus Prime. He'd kick Wolverine's ass any day.
Tell him who you ran into last night who said you look like me.
Oh, Johnny Depp.
I think that's cool. Johnny Depp ran into him at 4 in the morning at a deli and said, you look like me.
And I shit myself and turned around and walked out of the place with my plate still in my hand. I didn't get to somewhere to sit down. I was so It was the first time I've ever been starstruck before.
It was actually him?
Yeah. I mean, they said
was it at Cantor's or something?
Yeah, it was at Cantor's. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Is he known
awesome.
to hang around there? I mean, the guy, and then I go to buy a pack of cigarettes, and the guy in the gas station shitting his pants because he just came from there to the fucking, and like, I've never been starstruck.
Trail of shit everywhere.
Well,
Fairfax is running Browns.
It was so weird, man, because like, you know, I've never even experienced, like, there are people who I really look up to who, man, like, really honestly I don't give a fuck about, you know what I'm saying? But I think it was, and I've been around a lot of famous people, I guess, and like, but like, I think it was really, I'd been drinking Jack all night, you know what I'm saying? And I was kind of still drunk, and like, it was all bizarre, and I just hear this voice, and I turn around, and there it is. And man, I couldn't move. I took my whole plate, like, and just left.
That's how I felt when Weird Al Yankovic came in my grilled cheese store.
No shit.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, because when I worked at the grilled cheese store, we were right next to Nickelodeon Studios, so we'd have all these like Nickelodeon kid stars come in. But like I haven't.
Being honest, it's a factory for that shit.
I haven't seen Nickelodeon since the Clinton administration, so I don't know who anyone is, and I'm just like. Just give them, take their order normal. And then I go in the back and like the 18-year-old girls that I work with are like, oh my God, that's iCarly. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
Right.
But
she's a future Playboy Playmate model.
Right. But then when Weird Al came
iCarly, she like came to the Unurban one day.
iCarly came to the Unurban?
Yeah, Jeanette McCurdy.
Oh, that's
she went to
sad.
the Unurban and
like
she
do
was
comedy?
Yeah.
Isn't that the blonde girl from it?
I think so.
Carly herself is something or other Cosgrove, right? I think it's the
don't
blonde
know.
girl that you're
Yeah,
talking
I don't
about.
know.
Yeah.
I as far as I know, Nick Arcade is still on Nickelodeon.
Right.
I stopped watching after they got rid of Count Duckula.
Man, that was the best, right? I mean, that was what was going on. Count Duckula, and you can't do that on television.
Danger Mouse.
Yeah, Danger Mouse was awesome.
I like when they slimed people.
Yeah, that was a bit.
You can't do that
Yeah,
on television.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Canadian
can't
television,
slime
right?
people?
Yeah, it was just some Canadian kid show because a lot of early cable show was just like Canadian TV.
Yeah,
stuff.
right. All Nickelodeon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, but dude, I don't know who the fuck anybody is. I'll be honest with you. Like people and I have no fuck. I don't know when the last time I was in a movie theater was.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I do the tour thing now, and it's like when we trained, we had to drive around and do the celebrity homes thing, and we were just told like this is where so and so lives. But I haven't really done as much homework as I should have looking up who these people are. So if anybody has a follow up, they're like, oh, who is Josh Hutcherson? I'm like, I don't know.
The thing that you forget when you live in a place like New York or a place like L.A. is that you forget that a lot of the places like where we grew up, the most famous person that anybody meets is the guy that owns like the Ford dealership and has the commercial. That's the most famous you get.
Yeah.
So it's like any
or a local sports.
That's what I was going to say.
Local sportscaster.
No, the weatherman.
Yeah. Oh, the weatherman.
Shit.
Like Dave Brown in Memphis?
No, shout out to Rich Thomas out of WSFA Montgomery. People would tell me like
we have Paul Bears. Yeah, Paul Bears is huge.
David Hall of Hall Salvage. I work
What'd you say,
for
Paul
him.
Bear?
Paul Bears.
Paul Bears. Oh, there's a storm. There's a cold front coming over Death Valley. Kamala. A high pressure system will affect the weekend plans.
I had the same weatherman in like 3 different places I lived in. It was weird.
Yeah.
He followed you down.
Yeah, I know. It was weird because he was like, his name was Brad Nitz, and he was in Jacksonville, and then he went down to Orlando, and then he went up to Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was just like he was doing the circuit.
He just followed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Rich Thomas, and Rich Thomas is he's been the weatherman I became self-aware and he was the weatherman. He's still fucking there.
But it's weird.
Dave Brown, who did the wrestling announcing in Memphis, still there.
Yeah.
Channel 5. The wrestling's gone, but he's still doing the weather.
Yeah.
But that's like the thing where where we grew up, probably all of us. It was like that's as famous as you get, and then you move to L.A. and you have situations where people do get starstruck. But if it was Johnny Depp, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, dude, I was
especially if he gave that comment.
And then dude, it was weird. It was weird. And like in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, that's not what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It was so surreal. It was so surreal.
Yeah, if it weren't for the cigarette guy, I would just, when you told me the
that's
story,
what I
I'd
said,
just be
too.
like, you were hammered
That's
and
what I
like
said,
somebody with black hair talked to you and you got weirded out.
Yeah, that's what, and that's what I'm in my head. I'm kind of like, but the guy at the gas station was shitting. So
Right.
Yeah.
That's either really, really good. I
was going to say the Jack Sparrow on Hollywood Boulevard is pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
Check
The
that
Willy Wonka on Hollywood Boulevard is not bad.
Which Willy Wonka is he?
He's the Johnny Depp one. I'm saying there's other.
that.
Well, you know what? With that guy though, when grilled cheese place working there, right? The way it worked, it would be like if you came in and ordered, we'd get the initials. So if Pat came in, we'd go PR, your order's up, like that, right? Yeah. And if you pay with a debit card, I would just look at the name and punch that in. But if you pay with cash, I'd have to ask you. And so Willy Wonka from Hollywood Boulevard walked down to there one day, comes in, and he orders his food, and then he hands me a 20, and I'm just like, what are your initials? He just goes, YWW, of course. So, DJ, where can people find you on the internet, sir?
www.djlewiscomedy.com.
All right. You got Twitter, Instagram?
Yeah, I got all that shit, man. Fuck all that, man. I'm fucking...
Drew, where can people find you, sir?
AverageDrew.com. I tweet at AverageDrew. And, yeah.
All right.
I'm on YouTube if you guys have heard of that.
And, do you guys, I guess you don't have a date for the next one, but it'll be on the website for the next Fish Out of Water.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, and then a whole bunch of other stuff, man. Just like man, here to work, but here to have a whole lot of fucking fun too. You know what I'm saying? So, looking to create and work and just be as creative and work and have as much fun as possible. So, man, who knows what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying?
I guess we should plug too Black Liver Theater.
Oh, yeah, Black Liver Society.
Yeah, there's a lot of sketches that we've done on there. Some we're more proud of than others, but hey, we all got to learn and grow. Some of them are, I think, really hilarious.
Pat, good night. You guys got anything to plug?
Nope.
I live on Sepulveda for the ladies that are listening. You can call me and right into this show if you want a piece of the rock, as I like to call it, because I'm always available.
We are at The Goods Pod on Twitter, Facebook.com/
If ladies want to send in dirty pictures, we're not saying that we do, but we're not saying we won't take them either. We'll take a look.
But yeah, you can find us on those sites, and yeah, we'll see you next week. This is a record that I've been sitting on, but it's really fucking good.
Did you crack it?
No.
Well, that's sitting on.
No, it's been out since like April, but I just got around to listening to it. It's Shauna Tucker, who used to be the bass player and one of the singers for Drive By Truckers. Put out her first solo record. It's called A Tell All. So I'm going to play this song. It's called Since Jimmy Came, and we'll see you next time.
Don't even look at me. I know it's not there. This is as close as you get. Can't even smell in my hair. We got all new rules since Jimmy came here. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came. All new rules since Jimmy came here. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came. I know you love me. I know you miss me. And don't you follow us? Your place is way over there. And don't you make a big fuss, 'cause right now I don't care. We got all new rules since Jimmy came here. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came. All new rules since Jimmy came here. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came. I know you love me. I know you miss me. Don't even look at me. Wait it out. I'll give you all the love you can stand. Stick around. Wait it out if you can. I know you love me, but it's my little man. We got all new rules since Jimmy came here. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came. All new rules since Jimmy came here. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came. All new rules since Jimmy came here. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came. Since Jimmy came, Jimmy came.
The Goods from the Woods is mixed and edited by me, Rivers Langley, and distributed by Westcast Network. Our theme song is composed by DJ Smiles. You can find him online at djsmiles.net.